morning. I'm Gwen Cavanaugh, and this is the April edition of Queen City Magazine. We've had a lot of really interesting things happening in Nelson and area over the past month, and I'd like to outline some of the things that'll be on our show tonight. We're going to start out with a presentation by a local goldsmith, and we'll see just what he does with his craft. Then we're going to look at the Provincial Municipal Partnership in Enterprise program. That's quite a mouthful. Dave Hopkins will be talking with Doug Ormond and His Worship Mayor Maglio regarding how this partnership will affect or benefit the area of Nelson. It's possible there will even be tax relief for some new industry and lots of other interesting things. We're going to go back up to Whitewater and take a look at the Kootenay Zone Finals, which are some excellent ski races. We'll see a beautiful slide presentation of natural British Columbia with some Eastern music that will be playing in the background. And Women on Cue is a group of ladies from Nelson who put on a series of monologues up in Kaslo over the month, and we're going to be looking at one of those monologues. Recently, there was a workshop on pornography presented up at the DTUC Library. We're going to present an interview of two women who were up from the Lower Mainland to speak at this seminar. For the business section, Dave Pearsall is going to interview local businessman Dave Martin and some of his staff down at the Heritage Inn. We'll see a tour of the Heritage Inn as well. Next, Margaret Schmidt looks after the interviews regarding the upcoming Kootenay Summer School of the Arts and Festival. I know you'll enjoy that. Finally, Fran Lamb, a local musician, will give us a taste of his guitar, music, and vocals. So let's start off the show then. We'll listen to Jules Warpiek explain his personal style in goldsmithing. He'll also be demonstrating his craft.
Gold is my medium. Most of my work has a botanical motif. This, combined with an affinity for diagonals and Japanese design, has evolved into my personal style. I sometimes feel like I'm a gardener who's growing golden leaves and flowers.
lucky to have a craftsman such as Jules Warpiek living in our area. Thank you very much, Jules, for sharing your craft with us. Next, let's go to City Hall and Doug Ormond, who will explain to our interviewer Dave Hopkins just what the Provincial Municipal Partnership and Enterprise Program is all about. Mayor Maglio will also share his feelings about this program.
Thank you, Gwen. The city has joined the provincial government's Partnership in Enterprise program. We're in the city offices and we're going to talk with Doug Ormond and Mayor Maglio. First of all, with Doug, if you could please outline the agreement.
Well, basically, Dave, the agreement is between the provincial government and open to all municipalities in the province, and the basic premise of the agreement is to give authority to municipalities to provide tax relief to new industries. That's the basic premise of the proposed agreement. Mm-hmm. There are a number of other other items attached to it in terms of funding being made available through the agreement for municipalities to get involved in promoting the community for industrial development. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's the main premise.
Okay. Is there a monetary commitment to enter the program?
No, there isn't a financial commitment to enter the program. A municipality could just sign the agreement through negotiation with the province and perhaps not have to pay any money. Mm-hmm. But if the council or the municipality wish to take advantage of any of the funding opportunities that are made available through the program, then they would have to put up their share of the financial commitment as well.
Okay, so the city has allocated a budget then for use in this program?
At the present time, the city has provided in the 85 budget a sum of $15,000 as their share of a number of programs that could be available to the city should council wish to take advantage of it.
Okay, can you outline any of the programs you may have in mind? Any possibilities?
Well, I can outline the programs that are available. For example, under this new agreement, the council, if they wished, for example, could hire their own economic development officer, and the government would fund up to $25,000 of this person's salary. Mm-hmm. However, in view of the fact that the regional district in this area has a commission already, an economic development commission and an officer, that is highly unlikely that the city would be involved directly by itself in a similar program. There is funding also available for what they call economic strategy plans, or development of economic strategy plans. Mm-hmm. And I think the government will pay up to $5,000 for such a plan. Mm-hmm. Similarly, there's proposals for funding for doing market research studies. In other words, to do a study on what kinds of products and what kinds of industries would be most suitable for this area, and particularly this municipality. Mm-hmm. There's funding available for that program. There's also funding available if, for example, the provincial government was going on a trade mission with the federal government to China or Japan or Sweden or wherever. They are now going to permit municipalities to be involved in those trade missions, and there would be funding available for that.
Okay.
So that's, there are two or three others. There's also funding available to set up a community committee to look into industrial development and promote it and so on. Mm-hmm. And as you're probably aware, we have the Nelson Promotion and Development Commission, and so there is a possibility of funding being available there. So that's basically what the $15,000 is for, if council wished to take advantage of further funding from the provincial government.
Okay. Is it going to be an asset for this community, joining this program?
Well, certainly I think so. And I think that's the echo of a lot of other municipalities, that this is the kind of thing that municipalities have been asked this question many times. Is there any way that we can give tax relief to industry? Mm-hmm. I've had them in my office asking, does the municipality, give tax concessions? Or, and we've had to say no. that's not possible. And under this program, that's going to be a benefit. But what we have to do, first of all, is establish a climate for the types of industry that the people want here. I think that's the first thing. And under these government programs, funded programs, perhaps we can do that.
Okay, sounds interesting. Thank you, Doug.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, do you agree with the provincial government partnership program, or do you have your own feelings on the program?
Well, it's a new program that the provincial government has put into force, and they're trying to get the municipalities involved also. And in that respect, I think we should get involved. I do not know too much about what it entails, but in order to find out more about it, we have to have an agreement signed with the provincial government.
Do you feel then that or do you hope that it will be an asset to the community?
Well, this is what we're hoping for. It's mind you, there's going to be a lot of municipalities are going to go along with this program, and it would mean that we would have to promote our area here and try to encourage industries to come into our community here.
Do you have any industry in mind that you might like to encourage to this community?
Well, not at the moment. We don't have any. We're hoping that it will generate some interest, and I think any industry that's willing to come into the interior of the province would be an A+ for their community, because everything seems to be geared for the lower mainland or the more of the bigger centers. As we're being penalized because of our communication, actually, in the smaller in communities in the inland here, because of our transportation problems. But other than that, I think we municipalities like ourselves have a lot of amenities here that would could entice smaller industries. We're not looking for a bunch of large industry. If we can get a good number of smaller industry that would employ 5, 10, 50 people would be good for our area. As you know, we have lost our education center here last year, and which to me has been a big blow to our community. We've also lost the sawmill here because of the lumber market, the pressed lumber market. But I feel that eventually, once the lumber market improves, there'll be a new mill built in the area here, and certainly should help the community. Now, I don't know whether this would help somebody coming in to build a new mill if it's in the outside of our boundaries. They might choose to build a mill, 10, 15 miles out of Nelson. Now, from what I gather, the regional that would be in the regional district, and they do not qualify to go into this program. So I don't know whether they could get any tax incentive in that area or not. I don't know. I mean, these are things that we would have to find out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out just what the area boundary would be for the municipality.
Yes. These are things that we would have to find out in the future, you see. I mean, they're indicating that there would be tax relief for any new industries coming here or the expansion of existing industries. As you know, we do not have too many industries in here that are looking for expansion at the moment anyway. But if they do expand whatever industries they have here, they're only get the tax relief on that portion of the industries that they portion that they're going to expand on, you see.
Right.
It does not, the existing industry will not qualify. Just anything that's added to it would qualify for this year tax relief.
Right. Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and hopefully some of the industries that are here might take the incentive to do some expansion, or perhaps new industry will come into town.
Yeah, well, we're doing everything we can on our part here, and like I say, until we get into the program a little further, it's pretty hard to me to tell you much more about it, other than the fact the provincial government is willing to come in here, but they want to get the municipalities involved. So I think, as you know, we're interested in getting industry in here. We might as well get involved and see how it's going to work. It's not going to cost us that much to find out anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Worship, Doug Ormond and Dave Hopkins. Skiing. Can we ever have enough? This month, the Kootenay Zone Finals in GS and slalom events were held at Whitewater, with entries from as far away as Banff, Kimberley, Kelowna, Fernie, the Windermere Valley, Salmo, Revelstoke, and of course, Nelson. A point system was used in these races, which in a capsule means that the skiers are up to a certain level of expertise. So sit back and enjoy.
This past weekend, over 100 racers from 9 ski areas were at Whitewater to compete in the Kootenay Zone final race of the season. The snow kept falling all day to provide excellent racing conditions. The GS started underneath the summit chair and continued down Bonanza to the bottom corner. Here it rounded the corner and headed over the final pitch to the finish gate. Women's giant slalom, Tracey Billet from Nelson finished in 3rd place. First run time of 1 minute 3.73 seconds and a second run time of 1 minute 22.38 seconds put her with a total time of 2.2594 seconds. Kimberly McKnight from Revelstoke finished in 2nd place. First run time of 1 minute 2.47 seconds, second run 1 minute 22.99 seconds for a total time of 2 minutes 25.46 seconds. Alicia Kline from Kelowna, 3rd after the first run, made a fast second run time of 1 minute 21.63 seconds to go with her first run time of 1 minute 2.86 seconds to finish first, 2 minutes 24.49 seconds. In the men's giant slalom, Ryan McClelland from Red Mountain, first run time of 59.82, second run time of 1 minute 17.43 seconds, put him in 3rd place with a total time of 2 minutes 17.25 seconds. Mark Anderson, also from Red Mountain. First run, 59.06 seconds. Second run, 1.1742 seconds. Gave him a total second place finish time of 2 minutes 16.48 seconds. And the winner, Doug Ido from Kelowna. First after the first run, maintained it to win with a total first place finish time of 2 minutes 16.06 seconds. Both the men's and the ladies' slalom course started halfway down Bonanza, ran down to the bottom corner, and over the final pitch to the finish gate. In the women's, Cynthia Parks from Kelowna finished in third place with a total run time of 1 minute 53.25 seconds. Second place, Alicia Kline from Kelowna. Total run time, 1 minute 51.95 seconds. And from Nelson, finishing in first place, Tracey Billet, the total run time of 1 minute 51.86 seconds. In the men's slalom, third place, Daryll Fry from Red Mountain. Total run at time, 1 minute 48.04 seconds. In second place, Mike Somenick from Nelson. Total run, 1 minute 47.58 seconds. Second after the first run to finish first, Ryan McClelland. Total run, 1 minute 46.02 seconds. The lodge was busy after the event to hand out all the awards, and there were many of them. The Nelson Ski Team number 2 took the team event, finishing in first place.
Next, sit back and relax because Lynn Hebert is presenting The Heavens Declare the Glory of God. There are some beautiful shots of British Columbia at its best and some lovely background music too. Wasn't that beautiful? Our thanks go out to Lynn Hebert for that lovely presentation. The Nelson Women's Theatre Group presented a collage, a series of monologues at the Langham Theatre in Kaslo during the month. It has been shown on Cable 10 in its entirety. However, for tonight we chose one segment. It was written by Jane Martin, and it's called Clear Glass Marbles. You'll see Nelson's Pat Griffiths perform this monologue, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it just as much as I did.
The day my mother found out she was dying, she sent me out to buy her these clear glass marbles. Dad and I hadn't even known she was ill, which was nothing new. Whenever you asked my mother if she was ill, she would throw things at you. Sesame buns, the editorial page, a handful of hair ribbons. Do not, she would say, suggest things to suggestible people. Anyway, I brought her the marbles, and she counted out 90 of them and set them in this old cut glass bowl, which had been the sum total of great Aunt Helena's estate. Apparently the doctors had given her 3 months. She set great store in doctors. She said she believed they were the nearest thing to the New Testament we had. I wouldn't give you tuppence for these young smiley guys. I go for a good, stern, furrowed physician. She wouldn't even have her teeth cleaned by a dentist under 50. So she counted out the marbles and set them in the bowl on her bedside table. Then she went out and spent $1,200 on nightgowns. She said, "In my family, you are only dying when you take to your bed. And that, my darlings, is exactly where I'm going." And she did. Oh, we hashed it around. Dad said she couldn't possibly be dying, but the doctors convinced him. I said it seemed a bit medieval for her to lie in state up there, but she said she didn't want to be distracted from the things she loved, us, and the things she wanted to mull. And anyway, she said there was nothing outside except drugstores, supermarkets, dry cleaners, and that given her situation, they were beneath her dignity. I asked her what she intended to do up there, and she said, study French, visit with you, generally mull, and maybe call a few pals. Study French? She said she'd made a pledge to herself years ago that she would die bilingual. Dad and I cried a lot, but she didn't. He was fun to cry with. And all day, every day, she held one of these marbles in her hand. Why? She said it made the day longer. Mother had her own bedroom. That's the way it was for as long as I can remember. She called my father the Thrasher. Apparently Dad could really get into a nightmare. Early on in the marriage, he'd flipped over in the night and broken her nose. And that was it. Separate beds. The room was very spare, really. Wooden floors, an oak and steel bed, dressing table, bedside table, and don't ask me why, a hat rack. No pictures on the walls, though. She could never understand how people could look at the same darn thing day after day. She said it was bound to deflate the imagination. We'd sit with her after dinner and talk about issues. She said she was too far gone for gossip or what we'd eaten for lunch. Then we'd all turn in, and in a little while, just before I'd drift off, I'd hear this. Happened every night. After the third or fourth night, I saw one on the floor and started to pick it up, and she said, "Leave it!" She said it very sharply, and I said, "But how come?" She said she was learning to let go of them. Oh, she passed the time. There were things she wanted. She made out a list of children's books from her own childhood. We got as many of them as we could for her at the public library. She said she believed that they were still the best books she'd ever read. And she wrote to, I don't know, maybe 60 or 70 people. And they all told us later that they were sort of little formal goodbyes, each one recalling some incident or shared something, not very significant. But the odd thing was that in each one of them she included a recipe in every one. We got out the big cookie tin full of snapshots that somehow never became a scrapbook. She liked that. She showed my father how to do the medical insurance and how she handled the accounts. We went through her jewelry. She made lists of the names of the roofers, the plumbers, the air conditioning people. She called it wrapping it up. "Well, this is good," she'd say. "I'm wrapping it up." She asked me to have the television moved into her room. And then she called me aside to say that it was entirely possible that she might reach a stage where she wouldn't really know what she was watching, but that I must promise her that I would leave it on PBS. Later on, when things started getting hard, she called Dad and I aside and told us that she wanted to spend more time alone. "I'm afraid that I'm going to have to do this more or less by myself." She said she was glad, and she hoped we would be, and that this was arranged so that you got less attached to the people you loved near the end. The next part isn't worth going into, really. It was just hard. Do you know that from the very beginning till the very end, she never complained of any pain? Never. She called it the chills. Oh, the last thing she asked for was a picture we had in the front hallway of a Labrador retriever that she and Dad had owned when they were first married. He was, she said, a perfectly dreadful dog. But when you are young, you believe in the perfectibility of dogs. I was in bed 2 weeks ago Wednesday, toward dawn. Then this. Dad and I rushed in there. The bedside table was overturned, and she was gone, dead. When the emergency medical people got there, they found this. The rest had spilt when the table fell, but this one was still in her hand. I keep it in my hand all day. It makes the day longer.
Great job, Pat Griffith. Next, we're moving up to the David Thompson University Centre Library, which was the scene of a workshop on pornography during the month of April. The movie, a National Film Board film called Not a Love Story, was shown. And then there were sessions by Gillian Riddington and Donna Stewart, both from the Lower Mainland. Gillian's a sociologist and Donna's an educator. Dave Hopkins interviews these two women as they outline the importance of a greater awareness of pornography and just how we can deal with it.
Pornography, Considering the Human Costs, was the title of a conference at the David Thompson Library and was sponsored by the West Kootenay Women's Association. Gillian Riddington is a sociologist who has done research on pornography for the National Association of Women and the Law and the Manitoba Government. She is currently chairperson of the Periodical Review Board of British Columbia. Donna Stewart is an educator, regional representative for the National Action Committee on the Status of Women, current chairperson of the Vancouver Coalition Against Pornography. Gillian Riddington outlines the agenda and discusses the issue.
Yeah, the forum started last night with a showing of Not a Love Story, which is a film about pornography put on by the National Film Board, and an excellent introduction to the subject. And it was really well attended by both men and women, and we were pleased at that response. And there was a panel discussion, and then a discussion with the audience after that. Then we started again this morning with a bit more of an overview in response to the film. I showed some slides of some of the material that we had collected for the review board, some of the material we'd screened, as well as some images from advertising and some heavier images that are not in the regular magazines that we review through the periodical review board. And then we had a break for lunch and went into the discussion on what the research says. And of course this is still a controversial area, although in my opinion the people who cite research that still upholds the catharsis theory, which is the one that says looking at this stuff really is good because it vents all your sexual energy and all that, were basing their studies on material a long time ago, and when the pornography was not nearly as violent as it is now, and it's basically been disproven. It would take me all of our time to talk about that, but there is a lot of research done now by feminists and by male researchers who are looking at the combination of sexual material with a violent component and finding that it definitely does change attitudes and probably behavior towards women and attitudes towards rape and increase the likelihood to inflict harm on women. And that has now been accepted in the courts in the Shannon case in Alberta. And I think that there is a good groundwork laid now for the fact that this is harmful to women, to children, and to our communities and families as well.
Were there any concerns or ideas brought up by the people who participated that differ from anywhere in the country, or are there a lot of similarities?
I think the concerns are countrywide, nationwide, about the kinds of materials. There's a very great similarity, we know, between the kinds of concerns that people expressed when the Fraser Committee toured the country. Basically, there's constant talk about the combination of violence and sex in pornography that is available very readily in most communities. However, some of the tactics that you have to use in a small community are different in that they, you can't use boycotts if there's only one grocery store or drugstore in town and that kind of thing. So you have to sort of put your actions into the context of what is possible where you are, and I think that the women here are the ones that are going to be having to do that and having to think a lot about that, how they will work here and now.
Mm-hmm. Reactions were mixed and the material stunning. What have the people learned? Donna Stewart.
I think a lot of women who had not looked at the material have now looked, and the first reaction of being absolutely stunned, numb, has passed, and they have examined the material. We came up with this list of 21 things that we find worse than offensive, probably harmful. We talked about a number of ways that we could deal with that harm in our community. I would think that there's a lot of progress been made in understanding the issue and understanding the possible ways of dealing with it. Well, the West Kootenay Women's Association was the group that got the funding to put on the conference, so I would assume people could go there and get further information and perhaps talk over ideas for dealing with it. That, as much as I know of Nelson, that would be the best place to go right now.
Why this material is so available is a major question mark.
Myself, I'd like people to think about why this material is there in such great quantities. And I know it's being aggressively marketed, and it is the nature of profit-making enterprises to always try and extend their market. But why do we cooperate with that? Why do we assume that the male right to look is more important than the woman's right to be able to walk down the street and be seen as fully human? I think that's pretty important.
Well, what can one say about pornography? The fact is that we each have to learn with how to deal with it by ourselves. Next, Phil Pearsall of Nelson Chamber of Commerce is going to interview our Nelson businessman, Dave Martin, and some of his staff down at the Heritage Inn. The Heritage Inn, as you know, is one of the very first buildings in Nelson to be restored. And Phil and Dave will take you on a little tour of the building as well.
Thanks, Gwen, and welcome to the Queen City Nights portion of the Business Look. Tonight we're going to look at what makes the Heritage Inn tick and what's the operation all about. And I'd like to introduce my special guest, owner-operator Dave Martin. Dave, welcome.
Thank you, Phil. Pleasure. Well, Phil, Weimar is actually my hometown.
Oh, right.
That's, so I'm basically back home here. I was 10 years old when my parents moved to Weimar, and I was introduced to the hotel business in the Weimar Hotel. And I started washing the floor in there and helping Dad renovate the hotel. And when I turned 21, I had...
Well, you're 21, Dave, now?
Yeah. But prior to getting in the hotel in Weimar, I took a hotel management course at BCIT, and I really enjoyed that. And the Weimar Hotel basically was my big starting point. And after leaving there, I went on to become assistant manager and manager of the Nelson Hotel in the 70s. And a lucky break happened in 73, and I was able to acquire a percentage of a hotel up in the Yukon Territory.
Which hotel was this, Dave?
It was called the Belvedere Motor Hotel. It was built in 1969, and the previous owners were basically were absentee and were tired of going up there, and the opportunity came for me to get started, and I'm very pleased that I did that. The family and myself spent 6 years there.
The general construction of the downtown is just, I shouldn't say downtown, but the downstairs is very, very beautiful, just looking at the green and gold and that. Can you give us a little bit of description of who was involved and how it came about?
Sure. Robert Inwood and Associates. As you know, Bob is our downtown coordinator for the Heritage Revitalization. He was the coordinator for all of the interior here and did the plans, and we went over later.